Happy Friday. It's the 3rd of April. My headline today is from last week. It's the pastor who passed away after claiming that the COVID-19 hysteria was a plot. So last week you might have heard a devotional from Pastor Scott, also about another pastor. This headline came to me across a wide spectrum of my Facebook friends, all of whom had a diverse perspective on what this was about. And everybody was weighing in, and I exercised my right to remain silent. This coming week, April 8th at sundown, Passover begins. And while this is not my tradition, it's not my faith, it was the faith of Jesus of Nazareth. So I've been invited to many Passover meals, certainly not every year, but when I have been invited, there is this amazing beauty and sacred nature. There's a power to this tradition, and I value every invitation I've been given. The Passover celebration invites those who gather to realize that the story they're telling, the story of the Exodus, is not simply some past event. It was, and it has been for every generation that has lived, and it is an event that is happening for those who are currently at the table. You hear of Pharaoh's stubborn refusal to free the Israelites, and we hear of Aaron and Moses and the children of Israel and the children who are gathered at the table. We hear the story of the plagues, and there are frogs that are thrown out, and when it's hail, you throw out a little white hail. So anyway, it's just fun. It's fun when you relive it in that way. You hear then, of course, what Scripture says is the hardening of Pharaoh's heart. That's the reason that Pharaoh can't see what is happening. So that hardening of heart you can also maybe understand as a heart that is entrenched in its own way, or a heart that will not be softened by human tears, a heart that insists that it alone is right. The story unfolds, and you see what could be the other side of other hearts that could be hardened, because on the other side, Moses and the Israelites have fled. The water has parted, and they've crossed this mud and muck, and Miriam's song unfolds. They are singing, right? That the Lord, I will sing unto the Lord, the horse and rider thrown into the sea. It's this wonderful piece. But the Midrash teaching is read in every Passover that I've been to, at least. And what is told in that Midrash teaching is that in that moment, that angels in the heavenly realm want to sing to God, but God silences them and says, "My children are drowning in the sea, and you want to sing before me." When this part is told in every Passover, my heart breaks. Sometimes we're invited to splash a little of the wine onto our plates or the table to remember that if blood is spilled, that victory is diminished. And how can a broken heart ever be hardened, right? So learn from history. This extraordinary moment when you're reliving Passover in this moment, it's that teaching that Exodus is happening right now. Moses confronts Pharaoh right now. And if you see that one represents the power of the moral and the other, this morality of power, who's going to prevail in the long run? That raw power, that's not going to extinguish the human spirit. And nothing is going to contain the human imagination. This big picture that we are invited to live into reminds us that the victory of God over Pharaoh is the foundation of faith now and the faith of the future. This Red Sea moment is formative in our faith. So this pattern, it's alive and it's visible. I don't ever want to have a hardened heart that just says, forget it. This is what this means and nothing else. I want to have an open heart. I want to hear what God is saying in this moment to me through others in the world that is surrounding me. So I'm going to begin with some words from Michael Walzer. His words are these. First, wherever you live, it's probably Egypt. Second, that the way to a better place, a more attractive place, is that promised land. And third, that way is through the wilderness, and the way to get there from here is by joining hands and marching. So this Lenten season, in our spiritual wilderness, I continue as I have from the beginning, saying and knowing that we're separated from one another, but we're together on this journey. There's a way out and there's a way forward if we learn to be united in a common goal. Together. Together is the way to that better place, but we have to pay attention to our history, and we have to be united and in this together. God is with us. Together. Amen.